Hi there, it's Nikki with Thrive Bodywork in Alexandria, Virginia here again. And in the last video, I introduced you to the idea of squeezing the sponge of the fascial matrix as the missing piece to flexibility, mobility, and strength. So in this video, I want to kind of take that to the next level. Now, before I go there, I want to remind us that we are squishy tin men, right? We are just cylinders at the end of the day. And it's really important to know that our bones need to be able to glide inside of our cylinder, okay? So if I have my thigh here, I've got my femur in the middle of it. And what ends up happening is that femur, it's meant to just be able to glide in and out of the cylinder elegantly. And that allows my hip joint to kind of open nicely and productively and happily. But when the fascial matrix is stuck and the bone is glommed to the cylinder, that bone can't glide nicely. And so we end up ratcheting at the joints, okay? And so that's actually related to kind of that, the last two videos where we talk about electrifying the fence and squeezing the sponge. The real intention behind that is not only to use the whole cylinder and use the whole musculature, but to really start to break up some of those dead zones and frozen zones that allow the bones to glide nicely inside their cylinder. Now, the second part to this is the idea of letting your cylinder take your bone. And the knee is actually the easiest place to demonstrate that. So we've got our knee joint here. So we've got our knee here. And at the end of the day, it's a hinge joint, okay? So if I'm gonna move my foreleg, it's just hinging at the knee. In order for that to happen, several things need to happen. So this part of my cylinder needs to be fully electrified. Actually, my whole cylinder needs to be electrified, but I need to make sure that this piece specifically isn't a dead zone and isn't a frozen space that doesn't allow any movement to happen. Because what happens, that's actually a very common place for the sponge to get frozen. And so you can see here in the knee, the patella, right, the kneecap, it's here. And in order to hinge my knee up, that patella actually needs to be able to be accepted by my thigh. But if that's a frozen piece of sponge, that patella can't be accepted, and so it'll veer off course. Or what we'll do is we won't hinge our knee, we'll lift our hip instead, right? To bring our leg further. Instead of just using the correct muscle to move the correct joint, we'll now start to recruit other muscles. You know, you see me bend over, that's getting my spine involved, when really I should just be able to do this. And so if you think about the next level, the next piece of squeezing the sponge is allowing your cylinder, your matrix to kind of take your bones. So another place we can think of it is here at the elbow. This becomes often pretty frozen. And so I want to just hinge my elbow. I need this part of my arm cylinder to take this bone and then untake it. Take it, untake it. The heel, same thing. Out, taken inside my my calf cylinder, right? Out, in, out, in. And that's also what's gonna properly turn on and utilize those muscles. Like a lot of people, have weak calves. It's because we don't end up actually using the ankle, we end up using the foot. That's another video. Now, what is gonna start to happen if you start to move this way, both with the squeezing the sponge, the electrifying the fence, and now the letting your cylinder take your bones, is when you're working out, you might feel that places are starting to cramp. I want to change your relationship with cramp. Cramping is good news. It means that you have turned on a piece of your matrix and a piece of your musculature that has been dead for 20 years, okay? It sounds crazy, but it's true. So don't stay in cramp, right? Like if I'm doing some stuff and my calf starts cramping, I'm not staying there. I'm taking myself out of cramp, and I'm giving myself a high five, because it means that whatever I was just doing to strengthen my body just activated a part of my body and made it stronger. So I'm done for the freaking day. And that's awesome news. Now, a warning for this cramping: don't take your spine to full cramp, okay? I've done it. I was playing with this cramping model, and it really does, it makes you stronger. The next time you come back to work out, whatever was cramped will be stronger, turned on and participating, and you'll be like, oh, great, well, thanks, you know, calf, for never helping me do a movement. A whole quarter of my leg has been completely useless for 20 years. But if we're doing it in our spine, you just trust me when I say don't go to full cramp. I did it. I spent 3 days on the floor thinking I was a freaking fraud. You know, I came out of it stronger and more flexible, but trust me, it wasn't worth it. So I want you to still think about that, that electrifying the fence and that squeezing the sponge. But if you start to feel your spine even coming close to cramp, I want you to come out of that movement and know that you've done your job for the day, okay? www.thrivealexandria.com. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you're in the Northern Virginia DMV area, I'd love to see you on my table. The rest of you, have a great day and move better in your body. Take care.